Go Jackets.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. And buddy, hell of a win on the flats for Georgia Tech, primetime 8 o'clock game where North Carolina got shown who their daddy was yet again. I tweeted this, but Georgia Tech was owning North Carolina well before Jeff Collins blew him out. Then Key beat him with his third and fourth string quarterback as interim, and now in his first year in a relatively down year for us. For whatever reason, we don't lose to North Carolina. And it's not because we're more talented. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily we're better coached or anything like that. We just don't lose to the Tar Heels. If you watch the ACC show or if you've listened to any of the live shows, C-Dog and I were so confident we'd win this game in the preseason. Now, I picked us to lose by 2 scores last Friday, so don't think I'm any kind of genius. But preseason, we made a bet with a guy who's a North Carolina fan that we would literally eat crow if we lost this game. We would eat a real crow. Now, we didn't think that through. Evidently, you can't buy a crow. You can't buy crow like you can buy chicken. So we ended up calling it off. But that's how much Georgia Tech owns North Carolina for whatever reason. Let's talk about this game. It was oh so poetic how it happened. Now, I've criticized Paul Johnson's style of offense before, but one thing you can never say is that Paul Johnson isn't a great coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I think he deserves it. Won a lot of football games here. Set aside the style of offense he ran and just look at how well prepared his teams were, how hard they played for him, how he made adjustments to what other teams were doing. Fantastic coach. He was there being honored at the game. You know, they had CPJ on etched on the sideline. And Georgia Tech runs for 348 yards. To beat North Carolina 46-42 at home, a team that has not played well at home since Duke last year, since Key's second game, I believe, is interim, going back. And to my knowledge, the last remaining Paul Johnson recruit, Dante Smith, a kid who we haven't heard from all year. I think if he's had 5 carries all year, I couldn't tell you. Shows up in the fourth quarter, let me look here. 22 carries, 178 yards, a touchdown with a long of 70. It's just everything about it is right. I don't know if Paul Johnson being there, injected some life into the run game because we haven't run between the tackles well all year. It's been the biggest weakness of our offense. All of a sudden, particularly in the fourth quarter, and we had well over 200 yards rushing. I think we had almost 250 yards rushing in just the fourth quarter alone. We outscored North Carolina 22-7 in that fourth quarter. Now, I've seen people say, well, thank God this is the first complete game we've played all year. I wouldn't say that. We only scored in the second and fourth quarters. There's so many weird things with this. We only win on even weeks, and in this game, we only scored in even quarters. So we played very well on offense, 635 yards of offense. 635 yards of offense. Sounds good, but we gave up 577 yards of offense. Drake May threw for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. They ran for 267 yards. We just got in a shootout with someone and outscored them. So, not to take anything away from the victory, I said that I didn't think our defense was going to be that much better this season, really, no matter what we did. We have some personnel issues, and that's still true. That rang true in this game. North Carolina got out to a hot start, 14-0. The nice thing, though, is that as things were happening, you know, the offense got off the deck in the second quarter. We outscored them 24-14 in the second quarter. And when this game started, I felt like, oh, God, we're going to get blown out like I said we might. And we're able to get things together in the second quarter. We bring it within 3, I believe, or within 10. Come out in the half. Defense responds now, because we had said we kind of juggle whether we're going to play well offensively or defensively. We never, get them both going at the same time. We come out to start the second half, get a big stop, then block the punt. Shout out to Amari Harvey. Tantor's talked about it. He's number 18. He's the kid that had the big pick against Boston College to take points off the board for Boston College. Blocked a punt in this game. He was also the one that forced the fumble at the end, and we'll talk about that. This defense isn't good. It's not even decent. We were ranked 125th coming into this game. We give up 577 yards of offense. I don't see that changing. There's only 130 Division I teams. That means there's only 5 teams worse on defense than us. We might have the worst rush defense in the country. But there are some kind of shimmers of greatness you can see in there. Amari Harvey's one of them. Quayton Powell-Lee's another one. Tell you how much we struggled on defense during this game. Our top, it's difficult for me to even get out. Our top 3 leading tacklers were defensive backs. Lamiles Brooks was tied with Quayton Powell-Lee for 9 total tackles, and then Jalen King. I know we were rotating out linebackers. Mola only had like two total tackles. We had 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. But here's the thing. The defense did enough to slow down North Carolina, get a big turnover to win the game. So all credit to them for that. But like I said, we came out, we blocked the punt, get the stop, blocked the punt. And I said this on the live show last night. Haynes King had a fantastic game. 287 yards, 4 touchdowns, 23 of 30. But the one interception he had was absolutely mind-boggling. And look, I'm going to go through it right after this. Haynes King is on track to break both the single-season passing yardage record and the single-season touchdown record. So he's set to break both Gotze and Hamilton's records. But the picks he throws are head-scratching and mind-boggling, and I thought that it turned the tide of this game when I was watching it live. Get the stop, get the block punt, and he throws into quadruple coverage. And this has been a criticism I've had of Haynes King, where I feel like sometimes before he even snaps the ball, he says, I'm going to Singleton or I'm going to Malik Rutherford. And he doesn't even look at any other receivers. And no matter, look, the kid was quadruple covered, still threw an awful pick to him. Luckily, we were able to recover from that. And really what happened in this game, it was really the tale of 2 games too. Most of our rushing yards came in the second half. Most of them really came in the fourth quarter. Most of the passing yards came in the first half. Passing, Singleton, absolute just maniac. Played his mind out. Most of these came in the first half. 8 receptions, 117 yards, had a long of 43. Malik Rutherford put an absolute move for the second touchdown he got on a guy. He made a juke to get in the end zone, and the North Carolina defender just turned around and really just started walking back to the huddle. No need. He had 6 receptions, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, along a 42. Brett Seether, tight end, transfer from Georgia. 5 receptions on the year, but 4 of them are touchdowns. Man, doesn't it feel good to be able to say that. Some production out of the tight end. When this kid catches the ball, let's see, 80% of the time points are going on the board, right? He had 2 receptions, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns, long of 35. And let me say this. We've been a little bit critical of Buster on the play calling. I thought Buster Faulkner called an absolutely fantastic game tonight. That in conjunction with we just executed a lot better, and I think North Carolina's defense is not near as good as what I thought they were toward the beginning of the season. Particularly the play that we scored with Brett Seether. They were in man coverage. We had 3 wide receivers of that side of the field. Brett Seether, and I don't remember who the other 2 were, but he was closest to the tackle, closest inside. Other 2 wide receivers kind of come up like curls, come back toward the middle of the field. They're in man coverage. Brett Seether runs the wheel route and just loses his guy. Fantastic play call. And that was on 4th and 2. The ball's on Buster Faulkner. I even read they had to widen the doors to the press box up there where he calls games to fit his balls in. I don't know if any of y'all can confirm that. That's just what I heard. Ballsy play call there. We're going to be calling him an idiot if he doesn't make that, by the way. And I'm sure we had more. Brinke talks about this is a game of explosives, which I don't necessarily compute with, but just off what I have on stats here, 4 plays of at least 40 yards or more. Second half, and particularly the fourth quarter, we could not be stopped. We could not be stopped. Well, really, the third quarter, they held the ball for all but maybe 3 minutes of it. We couldn't get off the field on defense after that pick. Came out in the fourth quarter, and it was so, like we said, poetic, and just it felt so good. We just ran between tackles, and they could not stop us. Our offensive line absolutely took the soul of North Carolina's defense in that fourth quarter. I haven't seen our offensive line demoralize a defensive front like that since I don't know when. Again, 22-7, we outscored them in the fourth. 635 yards of offense, 348 on the ground, and 250 of that coming in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, it's like I saw Patience had a tweet of like going up and down the hills on the roller coaster, like what it's like being a Georgia Tech fan. This is not an untalented team. We've got some talent issues on defense, but we're now the 18th ranked. We're a top 20 offense in the country. I mean, this is what we have to remember. Totally new staff. Offense last year was like 125th or something in the country. Now we're a top 20 offense in the country. Buster Faulkner's doing an absolutely fantastic job. The defense has taken steps back, and that's going to have to be addressed in the recruiting cycle and transfer portal in the offseason. But if our offense plays up to their potential, like they did against North Carolina, and our defense can just be a speed bump, a few times a quarter, we could win 3 of these last 4 games. I'm gonna set aside the game at the end of the year. I'll talk about that when it gets here. We certainly can beat Virginia. Well, I'll make a video dedicated to that alone. Clemson is broken. Clemson's a turnover machine. Clemson's got a ton of problems, and it's on the road, which is great for Georgia Tech. And Syracuse looks awful as well. Could we win 7 games this year? I don't know. I think we can definitely make a bowl, though. Now, let's talk about Haynes King. I said he could break 2 records. What are they? George Agassi's single-season passing record in 2001 is 3,085 yards. Joe Hamilton's single-season touchdown record is 29, set in 1999. What are Haynes King's stats now? And I'm really saying this for myself because I was pretty critical of him. I was even considering making a move. Look at this, 2,122 yards, 21 touchdowns with 4 games left. If he averages 241 yards a game and at least 2 touchdowns a game, he'll break both records. Currently, he's averaging 265 yards a game and 2.6 touchdowns a game. If he just keeps on track with those averages, he'll finish with 3,183 yards and 31 touchdowns. He'll have both single-season passing records. Absolutely amazing turnaround for this Georgia Tech offense. Even Big Game Boomer on Twitter, who's notoriously anti-Tech, or I shouldn't say anti-Tech, he just, for whatever reason, doesn't like the city of Atlanta, said Haynes King might be one of the best comeback stories in some time in college football. It's hard not to root for the kid. And he's played his mind out for Georgia Tech. So we'll see what we can do moving forward here. I've seen Virginia anything from a 1.5 to a 2.5 point favorite. This Saturday, game's going to be at 2 o'clock. It's in Charlottesville. Now, as we've really owned North Carolina, unfortunately, Virginia has been our Achilles heel. Only thing I don't like about them being a 1 or a 2.5 point favorite is I wish it was more. I think that's correct. I'd probably put them at a full 3.5 point favorite. Not only do we not play Virginia well, we sure as hell don't play them well in Charlottesville. So be on the lookout for that video. We'll do a live show tonight. We'll read the latest Touchdown Tim article where, spoiler alert, he might or might not have ranked Georgia Tech in his first college football playoff rankings. Definitely pay attention to that. We have a lot of fun on the live show. That'll be 8:30 tonight. And if no one's told you today, WreckTalk loves you. Y'all have a good one.